Okay, so picture this, right?
You're rushing, to meet a friend.
Yeah.
You're running behind.
Flow of life, right? And bam, you hit a wall of cars, just bathed in the red glow of
a red light. You know that one where you start thinking about?
all the things you were supposed to do that day. Like, did I pay my parking ticket?
I was going to pick up, the thing.
Exactly. What if?
Yeah.
What if someone or something figured out how to tame those traffic demons?
That's what we're diving into today. Google's big experiment. Using AI to make traffic lights smarter and hopefully our commutes a lot smoother.
Yeah.
And we've got a stack of research articles all about it. So let's get you up to speed.
It's an idea that's generating a lot of buzz lately, and it all starts with their program called Greenlight.
Greenlight.
Very fitting, right? But before we hand over control to the algorithms, let's talk about the brains behind those everyday traffic signals, the ones we all take for granted. It's got to be more than meets the eye, right?
It is. Most traffic lights operate on either fixed timers, so they change at set intervals, or they're vehicle actuated, meaning they're using sensors to actually detect cars. But there's a third, and some would say more responsive system,
really
adaptive
system.
So it's like a traffic light that's actually paying attention.
Okay, that's a great way to put it. These systems analyze traffic patterns in real time, and they're tweaking the timing of lights to try to optimize the flow of traffic. Imagine for a second.
A jazz band, right?
Yeah.
They're riffing off the audience's energy.
Okay.
That's what adaptive traffic control is like. Fixed timers.
Okay.
That's like your classical orchestra, just playing a predetermined score, no matter what.
That's a really good analogy. So if these adaptive systems are so good at, preventing gridlock, why aren't they everywhere? There's got to be a catch.
You hit the nail on the head. The main hurdle is cost. Installing and maintaining the sensor networks and the control systems. It can be really expensive. And this is where Google's approach is really turning heads. They're trying to achieve similar results, but by harnessing AI and data, potentially making it a lot more affordable.
Okay, now we're talking. But how exactly is Google planning to outsmart traffic with, with AI?
Well, Google's Greenlight program, it uses data from Google Maps, along with some really clever machine learning.
Good.
Think about it, like your phone and millions of others. Constantly sending location data by tapping into this real-time traffic information from Google Maps. Their AI can pinpoint where the congestion hotspots are and adjust the timing of traffic lights to ease that flow. It's like having millions of little traffic reporters all over the city.
So instead of relying on all these sensors and stuff,
they're using tech that we already have in our pockets.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty smart if it works.
It is. And the possibilities are really exciting when you think about it. Imagine a scenario where the AI detects a long line of cars just kind of piling up at a red light and make a judgment call and be like, you know what? I'm going to shave a few seconds off this red light. Or even adjust the whole cycle, to clear the backlog faster.
Exactly. It's thinking ahead.
It's like it's thinking. Yeah.
And anticipating those traffic patterns.
It's wild. But it's not just theoretical, is it? They're actually testing this out.
They've done pilot programs in cities across the globe, from Seattle to Rio de Janeiro to Kolkata. And
really?
The early findings, at least in some of these locations, have been really promising.
Okay, so spill the tea. What kind of results are we talking about?
Well, in their Seattle pilot, they reported a reduction in stops at some intersections by, hold on to your hat.
Okay.
30%.
30%.
That's huge.
It's significant.
Less stopping, less starting. That's got to be good for the environment too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Less idling.
Less waste of fuel.
Yeah.
Google's data suggests a potential decrease in emissions at those intersections, up to 10%, because the cars aren't just sitting there.
Okay, so smoother commutes, greener cities. This is starting to sound like a win-win. But you did say early findings.
Right.
What's the catch? It can't be all smooth sailing, can it?
Well, you're right to be cautious. One crucial factor is the effectiveness of Google's system really depends on what kind of traffic infrastructure is already in place for many of the pilot sites. They haven't implemented those more advanced adaptive systems that we were talking about before.
Right, so it's kind of like comparing a bicycle to a Ferrari. You know what I mean?
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
It's hard to make a fair comparison.
It is, and there's another layer of complexity too. Remember how we were talking about traffic lights? needing to account for more than just cars.
Right. Pedestrians,
Yeah,
bikes,
busless,
bus rapid transit.
it's not just an automotive free-for-all. It's multimodal. And this is where Google's Greenlight program, at least how it exists right now, has a bit of a narrow focus. Right now, it's mainly concerned with optimizing the flow of personal vehicles.
So it's like we're trying to conduct an orchestra, but we're only paying attention to the strings section.
Yeah.
You might get a killer violin solo out of it, but
The whole symphony might be kind of a mess.
that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And there have been real-world examples of this very issue, like in Seattle.
Yeah.
They had to reverse one of Google's recommended changes because it actually ended up creating more problems than it solved.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What happened? Did the AI miss a beat or something?
Well, the change, while it was intended to improve car flow, it ended up creating these longer delays for other modes of transportation,
yeah.
which basically negated any of the benefits that the drivers were getting. Yeah. And there have been instances, like in Manchester, England, where traffic engineers just prioritize other things, like bus routes, and minimizing traffic in residential areas over the AI's recommendations.
So, even with all this, cutting-edge tech, human judgment, it still plays a vital role in all this.
It does.
We're not ready to just hand over the keys to the algorithms yet.
Not quite.
And call it a day.
It still needs that human touch.
Right.
Traffic engineers, they need to juggle all these factors like safety, equity,
Right.
the needs of all road users,
Right.
not just the ones behind the wheel.
Right. It's a balancing act. And that kind of brings us to something I want you to think about.
Okay, hit me. Hit me with it.
As AI and data get more and more intertwined with urban planning, how do we balance optimizing for efficiency with making sure that we're being equitable?
Right.
We're thinking about sustainability.
Right.
And we're meeting the needs of all city dwellers, not just the ones behind the wheel.
Wow, that's a really great question and a great point to leave us on, I think.
Oh,
It's not enough to just make things faster.
it's not.
We've got to make sure that they're better
We do.
for everyone. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI-powered traffic lights.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you next time. Until then, drive safe, drive smart. And maybe consider hopping on the bus or taking a stroll every now and then.
Sounds good to me.
We'll see you later.